Coach Carol Phillips is in the house. That bouncing, bright kind of music that she brings with her. Cail and Company live till 3. Coach Carol in the house, and we'll be meeting her special guest in just a couple of minutes. 107.7 The Pulse, 107.3 WEMJ. 866-823-1077 is our number here on Cail and Company. It's like our Christmas show, Coach Carol. You're in red and I'm in green.
Yes. Yeah. I guess we're just holding on to 2017, right?
I guess we are. We can play this show again at Christmas time, right?
There you go.
Yeah. But Coach Carol in the house at Carol Phillips 52 on Twitter. And Carol, anything new going on with you? I know you last time you were here, last week, as a matter of fact, talked about your new endeavor.
Yes, I've rolled out my new online group health coaching program, and that's really exciting, something I've been wanting to do for a while because I really see a value in group health coaching because, people, they are, having a support group along with their own efforts. So it's empowering them to change their thinking, to change their behaviors, but in a group setting. So you've got the social network aspect of it, but with the coaching on top of it. So if people are interested in group health coaching, they can go to askcoachcarol.com and click on the program, and you can see all the details. And we'll be offering monthly webinars, group coaching, and weekly emails, and a private Facebook group.
Nice.
And some other great components to the group. You join the group, I'll send you a signed copy of my book, 52 Simple Ways to Health.
Double award-winning book. You forgot to mention that part of it.
And get people rolling in a healthier direction. It's definitely not drill sergeant mentality. It's common sense, back to basics, what works and what's doable for people.
Outstanding. All right.
So whether people need to lose weight, reduce stress, want to eat healthier, want to get excited about exercising, which
or
people
all of
think,
the above.
All the above. All the above. Some people think it's, exercise is a mountain they can't climb, but that's not true. We all need to move. Improving your self-confidence, realizing the people in your life who are positively or negatively affecting your efforts. So a little bit of everything.
Outstanding. All right. Coach Carol Phillips with us, again, author of the double award-winning 52 Simple Ways to Health. So, Carol, you have a special guest with us today?
I do. I'm so excited to have Terri Hamilton here. Terri Hamilton is the owner of A Parent Connection and coaches parents and children on the topics of mindfulness, optimism, and respectful communication. Terri holds a degree in elementary education and earned her master's degree in counseling and holds a postgraduate certification in coaching children and teens. Terri is an expert in mindfulness. And her quote is, "Mindfulness is an amazing and powerful way to weave peace and calm into our otherwise busy and sometimes chaotic lives," right? Way too often. Life is crazy.
Way too often.
And I will add that I've known Terri for several years now, and she is the perfect person for what she does. She is one of the kindest and most zen people I know. So she just automatically brings calm into any room she walks into. So welcome, Terri Hamilton.
Thank you, Carol, for those kind words. I am very excited to be here. Mindfulness has changed my life tremendously through just being more aware of our surroundings and the control we really do have over our chaos in our lives. And I love to spread that joy and calm to the people that I meet.
And you certainly do. And I recently heard you speak at the school care conference that I was also speaking at, and you just did such a fabulous job of conveying the message to people. So can you give us first give us a little background on how you came to be a mindfulness coach, and what are some of the key points that you shared at the conference?
I would love to do that. Well, as a child growing up, I always wanted to be a mom and a teacher. Those were my goals from a very young age. And I was fortunate enough to become a mom and a teacher. I have a degree in elementary education, as you had mentioned. Love the little ones, feel like they're sponges, and any positive energy we can give to them, we'll receive back. So as my children were growing, I have two amazing boys, I decided to go back to college and get my graduate degree in counseling. In saying that, I was like, yes, I would love to help and counsel, but I did not want to go the path of trauma. I wanted to be in the path of positivity, and how can we help everyday people just feel more focused and more relaxed and deal with stresses in our lives. We all have them. And I believe that parents and children have the first amazing bond of life that goes throughout our whole lifetime. And so that's where the name A Parent Connection came, because I believe that connection is extremely powerful, whether the parent is present or not. So when I started, I thought, well, guidance counseling would be amazing. So I was a guidance counselor for 3 years at the Mount Vernon Village School. And I love that experience. It was just that I did not have enough time to be with the children or with the parents or with the teachers in that circle of community. So I did that for 3 years and decided to open up my own business. Hence, A Parent Connection came to be.
Terrific. And, you know, one thing that you mentioned made me think of something. I heard somebody define the difference between counseling and coaching, in that the counselors tend to deal with people's past hurts and trying to heal those, where the coaches help people get to where they dream to be.
Absolutely.
So really moving them forward. So there's that natural connection between the two.
Absolutely. And mindfulness is being in the present moment. And so when I talk with my clients or other people, it's about where you are right now and paying attention to exactly what's going on in your life right now in the present moment. Like you watching me intently, you listening carefully. That's all being very mindful without judgment. It's not about where we were or where, you know, how we got here to the radio station. It's about being right here and enjoying the moment of that. And coaching is truly about the client's goals. What would you like your family to look like? What would you like your work to look like? I have expanded my business where I do just work with adults who might not be parents, because I was asked, oh, do I have to have a child to learn mindfulness? And no, you don't. So that's
Everyone
very
should
exciting.
practice it.
Everyone should practice it. I truly believe in that.
And for people who, you know, say, you know what is mindfulness? So when I think of it, I think of, you know, being in the moment, and the fact that a lot of times we don't realize how much time we are multitasking in our brain, trying to deal with the moment while having regrets in our head about the past, woulda, coulda, shoulda, and stressing about our to-do list, what we need to do later today, tomorrow, next week. And our brain is not designed to be dealing with all that. So then that's obviously going to result in a lot of chronic stress. So I'd love to hear you add to that.
Well, that actually is called monkey mind, if you can imagine a monkey jumping from branch to branch to branch in a tree. And we all have it, but becoming aware of it is the first step. And becoming aware of, oh, I'm in the past. Let's bring myself to the present. And to calm down, it's actually associated with your breath, which you have with you all the time. So if you can just take one nice mindful breath where you breathe in through your nose slowly and out through your mouth, that automatically calms your body down. And that's the simplicity of how it starts. There are many techniques that will help you, which I love to share, but it really is about being in control of your thought processes and being aware. So what already happened has happened, and what will happen, you can plan. You don't have to worry about it. You can plan it out more self-focused and more self-confident when you bring mindfulness into your life.
Terrific. I'd like to invite our callers to call in if you have any questions for Terri or anything you want to add to the conversation regarding how you practice mindfulness or how you've seen it positively impact your life. Give us a call at 1-866-823-1077.
And I'm just looking on your website, apparentconnection.com. That's 2 P's, apparentconnection.com. And it says you collaborate with parents to inspire positive connections with their children. We work with children of all ages, including teenagers, which can be a rough stage for many.
And it can be. I actually love working with teenagers because what teenagers want more than anything else is to be heard. And when it's someone other than their mother or their father, they tend to be more open and telling of what they are really thinking about. There's a lot of pressure on teens and stressors in their lives, from being on the computer all day through schoolwork and peer pressure, and there's an awful lot of anxiety.
And it's easy for parents to think, oh, they're in the time of the time of their life right now. They should just be having a great time. They're not having to work full time yet. And sometimes it is easy to forget all the stress until we bring ourselves back mentally, right, to when we were a teenager and how insecure we were. And so what do you see are some of the biggest challenges between getting teens and parents to communicate well, and what do you see are some of the benefits?
I definitely think technology has had a huge impact on communication between parents and children. Many teenagers communicate through texting, and so they haven't developed the eye-to-eye respectful communication that they really need to have in order to be productive adults. What I love is sitting down with parents and their teenagers together and saying to the teenager, you have a voice. It's just if you use it respectfully, it will be well heard by your parent. Please share with me the things that are bothering you. In a respectful way, let me know, because I really do want to hear. And when the parents learn some of the same techniques that I have, they're much more open to what the teenager has to say. But they have to take the judgment out. And there are strategies for doing that, because truly the child's brain is not fully developed until they're 25 years old. So there's a lot of learning still going on.
Yeah, and that's a common mistake, right? Treating your teenager like a smaller adult.
Correct.
But they don't have the same thought process.
They do not. And they really do want to be loved and supported by their parents, although sometimes their actions seem otherwise.
And I think all of the social media and the technological advances that we've had over the years makes it really more difficult, puts more pressure on teenagers.
Absolutely. I am a fan of turning the technology off. Anytime that you can have some downtime from technology is good for all of us. The blue lighting, the fast-paced changing of colors and sounds is really not good for our brains. So anytime that we can have some quiet time together, get outside, as Carol says, as she coaches health coaching, get the body moving. All of those things have a strong effect on the brain, and that really is what regulates our emotions.
How difficult is it, though, to get a teenager to disconnect from the social media? It's got to be tough, because I'm sure some say, well, if I shut it down for an hour, I'm going to miss something.
Right.
Somebody's going to post something that I just can't miss.
Well, plus they're addicted.
Yeah,
they don't realize how addicted they are.
Yeah.
Yes. The research is showing that it is an addiction, and so you have to do it slowly. You can't just say, okay, no technology. It's let's put aside 15 minutes a day, and what will we do with that that's positive for our brains? And children actually want to be calm. When I sit with them in my office, which is more like a family room setting, it's not clinical at all. It's like, let's just take a minute out and listen to the sounds. Let's hear the birds sing. What do you hear? And just slowing the process down. And they actually do want to be calm. They absolutely do want to be calm. They just don't have the strategies. And that's where I come in, is to give them positive strategies that they can use in everyday life when they're walking into a test with test anxiety, when they have peer pressure, and the self-talk, making it good self-talk, that they are capable and they can do the things that are positive in their life.
And it's hard enough for adults to slow down and unwind their brain. But, teenagers, they're not going to realize how crucially important that is, and how it contributes to not sleeping well, which, that's another thing, is teenagers really need good quality sleep. So if the
Absolutely.
technology and their lifestyle is, compounding that in a negative direction, then, and just trying to teach them that unwinding time is so important. And, I can see another challenge with teenagers where they don't want to be bored. So they think that unplugging and unwinding their brain, they're going to be bored because they haven't lived the benefits of it yet.
Correct. And boredom is a wonderful thing.
We'd like to have more of it in our lives.
Exactly. It really does give our imagination the space to be used. And once teenagers find out that it feels good to be calm, they really do understand. And it's practice, just like for a child of 3 or an adult of any age. It's practice. It's putting a mindful practice, and it's not a lot of time. You can do 10 to 15 minutes a day, and it doesn't even have to be the same 10 to 15 minutes, but it really does, the research is showing, have a powerful effect on our lives.
So what are some of the exercises you do with parents and children?
Okay, well, always breathing starts the pattern, because when we slow our breathing, our brains become quieter, our body becomes more relaxed, and I will show them strategies of different ways of breathing. But the self-talk of I can do this, and I am a good person, and I am capable. I love the quote that says, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
You're right.
Henry Ford, right?
Absolutely.
So it's that positive reinforcement. I share calming stones. We do mantras, but it's really everyday based living with a little more calm included. I want people to be where they want to be in life, and some people think that mindfulness will slow them down. It really helps you become more focused. So it does help our brains pay attention to one thing at a time instead of being that monkey that's jumping from tree to tree.
Right. People tend to be afraid they're going to get less done. I don't have time for that because I'm going to get less done.
Right.
But in reality, our brain does not want to multitask, so we end up being more productive.
Correct.
So just like studies have shown that people who sleep well, they're the ones who get the raises and the promotions at work because obviously they're being more productive.
Correct. And that's another thing about technology. It is interfering with the sleep patterns of children and adults. So that's something that I really try to emphasize. Get those phones out of the bedrooms. Like, they need to be hooked up and charging somewhere else, because just the lighting in the back of them can affect our sleep patterns. So
yes,
it's just making people aware of small changes.
There's a long list. I know when I do presentations, I'll say, give me some examples of what interrupts people's sleep. Instead of me, quote unquote, having all the answers,
Right.
I tap into what they already know. And when I ask that question, all of a sudden there's the long list of worrying about things, can't shut the brain down, pets on and off the bed, a mattress that's 30 years old, a room that's too hot, having caffeine in the evening. So, there's so many things that they can think about to change.
Right. And mindfulness is awesome at bedtime. It's one of the easiest ways to practice it and get a good night's sleep.
We have to jump in. We have to take a little rest right here in our proceedings. It is 12:24. Coach Carol Phillips is in the house, and Terri Hamilton from A Parent Connection in Bedford. And we'll continue with our conversation. 107.7 The Pulse, 107.3 WEMJ. It's our Coach Carol segment. Carol Phillips in the house.
In the house.
In the house, author of 52 Simple Ways to Health, the double award-winning book, bestseller, and she is with us today, along with Terri Hamilton from A Parent Connection. Coach Carol, it's your turn.
So before we get back to the conversation with Terri, I want to share her website, which is A Parent Connection. That's APPARENT, connection.com. And her phone number is 603-759-6943, and she's located in Bedford. So Terri, I wanted to ask you about working with very young children, because I can imagine that you have situations where parents come to you because they're struggling with parenting young children. And maybe some of the issues lie in parents who, people like to use the term helicopter parenting, where, they're just, they feel they need to be on them all the time, and maybe they don't realize they're not giving that child enough space or time for them to learn the hard way on their own, because obviously that's how we learn, right? I like the saying that we don't learn to wear our winter boots because our mother told us to. We learn to wear our winter boots because we froze our feet off one day.
Experience.
And then I'm sure you have the other extreme where you have some parents who don't realize they're not giving their child enough guidance or attention. Even though the child may not welcome it, they might need it.
I really do love working with young children. I start as young as 3 years old. There needs to be some form of communication. But they are truly sponges, and they want their parents' attention. So they will try in any way, positively or negatively, to get their parents to communicate with them. So what I love to do is have parents and children of a young age work together with me. So we can either do a mindful creativity class where there's some yoga involved. I work closely with Let's Play and Namaste, children's yoga for children. We teach them through books and crafts and breathing exercises how they can let their parents know exactly what they need. While doing that, I'm actually modeling good parenting skills. It's getting down to the child's level. It's eye communication. It's teaching the parents that before they react or respond, to take a nice deep breath and choose your battles, because children are going to test. That's how they learn. And as parents, we watch and make sure they're safe. We give them feedback by our body language, how we say things, and hollering at a child is normally not helpful. In using positive words, like if you want your children to walk in the hallway, you very often hear someone say, don't run, don't run, don't run. But what the brain hears is run, run, run. So you want to tell the child what it is that you want them to do. So please walk. Please walk.
Yeah, just flip it to the positive.
Absolutely, and it makes a huge difference. But we're so used to getting into patterns that we heard as children that I try to change the cycle of that. And once you become aware, that's where the mindfulness is. Once you're aware of a different way of doing something and you practice it, it has a profound effect on less stress.
And you were talking about positive self-talk before, and I know when I'm working with clients, I talk a lot about positive self-talk and find out if they have a negative loop going on in their head from when they were growing up. Because, and the example that I like to use is, say you have identical twins that are adopted out at birth. If you have one child that's raised by very positive, loving, supportive parents, and the other one is raised by very negative, controlling, critical, abusive parents, they're going to turn out to be very different people inside their own heads, more than likely.
Yes, I agree with that.
They're going to keep hearing what they heard growing up, and that's going to affect their whole lives.
Right. Sometimes when I work with children, they'll say, I can't draw. And I've said, oh, you can. We'll just start with a dot. But there's always that capability, and it is, I want children and parents to realize that it can be better, it can be easier. And I loved being a parent. I want parents to enjoy being parents. I want more positive than negative. And yes, we're always going to have struggles, but I want more joy. And that is what I'm all about. It's like passing that piece along to family members of any age, 3 and up, or if you're not a parent, it's okay. Mindfulness can change your life in a very, very effective, positive way in a very short amount of time of practice.
And it must be tricky sometimes teaching parents that the problem, quote unquote, that they came in with isn't the child, but their own overly busy, stressed out lives.
It is.
And how do you navigate those tricky waters?
The tricky waters. Well, I always look for the good. And so parents are doing something well. Okay. If they're coming into my office seeking strategies, then they've taken a great step. So we start there. Like, be proud of what you are capable of doing. And if you're open to it, we can change the things that are not working well. So it's really looking for the best in people, which is what I tend to do anyway. And let's work with the stress. What's causing the stress? And let's see if we can make it better. The more positive experiences that you have, the more you want that.
Right. Exactly.
Right. If
your brain will crave the positive the more you practice it.
Absolutely.
So you also work with moms groups.
I love my Mindful Moms groups. They are amazing women that have teenagers, young children. They are willing to share their struggles, and I'll give ideas, but they also have things in their lives that they've experienced. And everything doesn't work for each child. Children are individuals just like adults are. And so what may work in your family might not work quite as well in someone else's family. So we'll change the strategy for them. And it's all about being respectful of differences and of thought processes and where you are on your journey. It's just getting better.
Yeah. And I love the group coaching because there's the benefit of people, multiple brains are better than one.
Agreed.
And people are always willing to share what worked on their journey. So I'm sure you have parents in your mom's group of older children that they'll say to somebody with a younger child, oh, this is what I did. And the other person says, oh, wow, I never thought of that. That made such a difference.
Absolutely. Like you said, more than one brain together is good stuff.
That's terrific.
Coach Carol Phillips is here along with Terri Hamilton of A Parent Connection located in Bedford. We're talking about mindfulness, and among other things, and mindfulness, and that's what Terri specializes in for coaching for parents, teachers, and children. And I want to next segment. I want to find out the best way to communicate with a 3-year-old, because my granddaughter is almost 3. She's getting very close. So I want to find out what's the best way to communicate with a 3-year-old. 107.7 The Pulse, 107.3 WEMJ. Coach Carol Phillips at Carol Phillips 52 on Twitter is with us. You can tell by the music she's with us. And Terri Hamilton from A Parent Connection in Bedford. What is the best way to deal with a 3-year-old girl? My granddaughter, or just about 3.
Congratulations on having a 3-year-old granddaughter.
Well, it's fun.
With children, I find the best way to get them to calm down is to get down to their level, and if possible, to be actually sitting on the floor with them. That's called being grounded. Anything that you can do that is creative with their hands, whether it's crafts or coloring or anything that just calms them down, where you can actually talk face to face. When we look down on children, it's a completely different message. So it's kind of meeting them where they are. And the calmer you are, the calmer they will be. They pick up on your energy. So what you are looking for in your child or your granddaughter is time to be calm and then time to get some fresh air and go outside. All the things that you used to do when you were growing up, I would think back to those. Game boards, playing with toys.
And turning the TV off.
Turning the TV off.
The background noise.
Maybe some quiet music if you want the situation to be that. But definitely getting to their eye level is very, very important because we're often as parents or grandparents looking down on children.
So it's not about her being grounded. It's about you being grounded.
I can be grounded. It's just the getting back up part.
But that's good for us, right?
That's
good for us, yes. And you can teach her about breathing. Like, when you feel stressed, just take a nice breath in.
I did that with my grandson from the time he was a baby. I would say, oh, okay, stop, take a breath, take a breath. So now he knows that if he's too wound up, and I say that, he knows that I want him to stop and take a breath, and it calms him. Well, when he was probably 3, just turning 3, all of a sudden it dawned on him that when Nana says, Logan, stop, take a breath, he would just keep going and go, like, all right, I'm going to do the breath really fast to make you happy, Nana. But then I would say, no, we're not going to do it that way. We're going to do it the right way. And it kind of resets him. But the other thing about 3 is, you hear about the terrible 2s, right? So then when they turn 3, we think that we're home free. But no. I think
doesn't work that way.
3s are worse because they're a year smarter.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Then they know how to start manipulating us.
We sometimes call that creativity,
Yeah.
Carol.
There you go.
They do test the boundaries.
Creative minds. So
Very true.
that's awesome.
Very true.
So what are some of the things she likes to do?
She her favorite thing to do, actually, and I don't mind this at all because I did it when I was a kid. Play with Play-Doh.
Yes.
As long as she doesn't eat too much of it. That's what you got to guard against.
It's like playing with a stress ball.
Yeah.
It's that sensory input, and all of our senses are included in mindfulness. So when she's doing that, that's really affecting her brain in a very calming way. Yeah. So and there is edible Play-Doh in case she does decide she wants to.
Is there really?
Yes, you can actually make it.
Yeah.
Easy recipe.
I was not aware of that.
Yes.
I was guilty when I was young of eating Play-Doh. Once in a while.
Wasn't edible back then.
No, it's not. Yeah, most of it is not edible now. But if you make it yourself, it probably is a different story. Yeah.
But that is a very calming thing to do with them, playing with the Play-Doh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she enjoys that. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So.
Terrific.
And her 5-year-old brother helps out too. So.
And that's one thing I do work a lot with. If parents are listening, is the sibling rivalry. There definitely is, and there are ways to help when the older child is a little bit difficult with a younger child, or vice versa. That's a great training ground for communication with adults as we grow older. Is how do you work mindfully with someone that might be taking your toy, and how we can work with that. So I do love working with families.
Now, what are some of the biggest issues with sibling rivalry? Is it the age difference where the older one, it's easier for them to take advantage of the younger one?
I would say that's probably most of the pattern. It's usually that the firstborn has received all the attention. So when you bring a younger child into the family, it's a definite setback for an older child. So they're definitely testing boundaries. What do I have control over my younger sibling, or what should I be sharing? And if you don't teach them, they don't know by intuition.
Right. They don't know what they don't know sometimes.
Exactly.
So I do want to share your website again before we run out of time. So it's apparentconnection.com, APPARENT connection.com, and the phone number is 603-759-6943. This has just been a fabulous conversation because our world is just moving too fast, and people are just too stressed out, too plugged in, and we need to get back to taking time to just unwind. The brain really needs to unwind.
Absolutely. So Lily Tomlin says, for fast-acting relief, slow down.
Those are great.
So I'm looking at your website, and your sessions last approximately 1 hour.
Approximately 1 hour.
A piece, and how long a duration? How many weeks involved?
It depends. I typically recommend 6 weeks to start, because you really do need to make a habit of new learnings in mindfulness. But I do individual, small groups, classes. So it really is individualized, but typically they're about an hour long.
Terrific. So I also have a quote for today I pulled up, and we can talk about this a little bit if we have a minute left, is the only Zen you find at the top of the mountain is the Zen you bring with you, which is a Zen proverb. And that is so true because we really have all those tools, right?
We definitely have the tools inside of us. It's just bringing them out. And I would love to quote my yoga instructor who says, "Peace begins with me," and all of the children that we work at learn that to finger taps. And it's a beautiful thing when they go and they sit and they say, "Peace begins with me." It truly does.
Terrific.
And another quote that's on your website, the best thing to spend on your children is time. And I think that is
Without a
so
doubt.
true.
Right.
Without a doubt. Our
Right.
children want us.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned, children are looking there for positive or negative attention. And I remember years ago when my kids were little, my father gave me a book, and it talked about how children need, mentally and physically, they need attention, and they will either learn to get it through positive means or negative means. And the parents teach them which is the fastest.
Absolutely. And sometimes it seems like it takes longer to the path of positivity, but in the long run, it's a much easier path. So keep telling the children what you would like them to do in a positive manner, and they will understand that much better than the negative.
Mm-hmm. Terrific.
And just briefly, and both of you can address this, how important is a child's diet to their behavior? Does it work hand in hand?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I agree with Carol, but she's the expert.
Yeah, that's so, we are what we eat. And one of the big problems now in our society is there is so much unhealthy food allowed in the foods in the grocery store, and they can have direct negative effects on a child's behavior, plus the large amounts of sugar and salt. The salt can leave them dehydrated. Obviously, the sugar can make them overly active. So just getting them back to healthier food and just giving them a wide variety on a regular basis. Just determine what they enjoy, what they don't like this year, they might like next year. But what people find amazing is that the healthier you eat, the more you crave those foods. So even if you're used to not eating healthy and you think, oh, I'm never going to like healthy food, believe it or not, the more you eat them, the more you will crave them and the less you will like the unhealthy food. But, huge difference in child's behavior because of what they're eating. So they physically and mentally need healthier foods to operate properly. The body doesn't want you to just fill your belly with anything. It's, you're not giving it the right tools. It's like going to build a house and you open the toolbox and there's nothing in there that you can use. It's not going to get the house built.
Right.
So, yeah, very crucial. And the exercise. Children need to move.
Yeah. Without question. Well, it's been a great hour, an informative hour. And Terri Hamilton, want to thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, definitely my pleasure.
Great to meet you. And Parent Connection is Terri's business in Bedford, and parentconnection.com is the website. That's with two P's, Parent Connection.
Yeah, I love that little play on words there. But yes, thank you so much for being here. This was a great conversation, and reach out to Terri, and she is just a world of calm and great information.
Thank you, Carol. It has been such a pleasure. Thank you both
Thank
of
you, Terri. A pleasure to meet you. And Coach Carol, how can folks get in touch with you? We have about 30 seconds left.
They can reach me at askcoachcarol.com, or they can call me directly at 603-321-2750, and I will be back on Thursday, February 1st at noon. I can't believe it's going to be February already.
I know. My goodness, I'm still writing 2017 on the checks.
Well, you have 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Right? 6 months.
And you can find Coach Carol at Carol Phillips 52 on Twitter. So there you have it, and Terri and Carol, thank you so much.
Thanks, Ken.